Let's face it, we're all busy people and we all hate meetings. So how do we get parents to volunteer their time to serve on a school board or P&F? What makes a successful meeting?
Always find free food and free drink is very, very important to getting the numbers up at meetings. But like all meetings, if a meeting is bogged down in procedure, if a meeting doesn't enrich somebody from being there, if a meeting doesn't allow people to participate, to be a part of what they want to do, or disengages them from having their say, or doesn't have any relevance to what they're doing in the future, all meetings will fail. So it's all about listening, relevance, making it a little bit of fun, and trying to get those procedural compliance things as quickly over and completely done as soon as possible, so people are there to have a say. They want to talk, they want to engage if they're going to give up an hour of their time. Oh, that's another one. Always try to get your meetings to run on time. People hate being at a meeting at 10 o'clock at night. If they be very respectful of other people's time.
Well, I think it's very important to have time together before formal meetings, to even do in-services together about what a board actually does. How it's going to function is very important. How it helps and assists the principal in their ministry of leading the school, and how it also helps the parish priest in his ministry of being pastor.
Inclusive and informative discussion, respecting other people's differing views, good humour, being able to keep to the agenda, and also using good judgment on items that might require a little bit extra time that may not have been planned for. It's important for everybody in a P&F meeting to be heard and to feel good about what they've said. I always like to thank people for their commitment and time or contribution at a P&F meeting. It's very important.
It's got to be quick, it's got to be inclusive. You don't need it as a platform to waffle on about a different agenda item. It's just raise the issue, discuss it as quickly as possible, come to a satisfying outcome, and certain things you just action later on, put on the back burner, what have you, but we generally come up with a list of things we need to do and then we go and do them, and then the next meeting we report on how's this going, and does it need more attention or is it resolved?
Our board meets for 10 meetings a year. The last meeting is a Christmas dinner. We have a set agenda for each meeting.
Our board meeting tends to have a familiar structure to it each time we meet. We meet once a month, the first Monday of every month. We meet from 7 to 9 o'clock, so we have a 2-hour meeting once a month, and there's scheduled meetings in our calendar. What would happen in the week prior to our board meeting is that the board chair would develop the agenda in collaboration with myself. We'd put that together. I would prepare my principal's report, which is a collaboration of my leadership team reports, and we would send that information out to our board members on the Saturday morning prior to a Monday meeting to get them to have a look through the agenda, prepare themselves. Any notes going out would be provided at the same time.
A normal meeting starts off with the welcoming, the prayer. We hand it over to Father Frank for formation, which lasts about 10 to 15 minutes, and that's a real reflection on the Catholic values of the college. We then go into the agenda and meeting minutes from the previous meetings, and then we have the principal's report, and that's an area which we spend generally a fair bit of time going through the ins and outs of the colleges from the principal's perspective.
The principal's report is a great example of where discussion can be 5 minutes or 50 minutes.
Then the last probably hour of the meeting is set aside for specific agenda items around the projects that we're working with at the time.
Different people have different skills and abilities and different things they can bring to the table, and if we see somebody in the school community that we think could be an asset to the P&F committee, then we'll straight up invite them.
Well, traditionally we've had excellent attendance at P&F meetings in past years, but in more recent years we've experienced a decline, and our P&F is currently therefore looking at a review of how we might better increase our attendance at meetings, improve our processes, and that includes an online survey to our parent body, among other tools, of ways of getting to how we might be able to better serve our parent body.
Our 7 to 9 o'clock time slot is, as I said, a very familiar look to the agenda. We would start with an opening prayer and a reflection of what's been happening in the college. We would have some pastoral formation from Father Frank, who is our priest on our board, and Father Frank goes through the next Sunday's Gospel with us, so we're all inducted into the Gospel and we talk about that. So there's that shared wisdom around that. Then we move into the main part of the agenda, and the agenda would be looking at matters arising from the previous meeting and actions that would need to follow. And then we would spend probably, a good hour and a quarter looking at the main agenda items, and they could be around procedural development or any other items that have been flagged for coverage at that particular meeting. And those agenda items do vary according to the time of the year, so some of them are contextual around what's happening in the college at a particular time of the year.
I think a good PNF meeting is one with engagement, where everybody feels that they're entitled to their say is respected, and their say has some bearing on their children. We don't like to do meetings for the sake of meetings. We actually like to have an outcome or a vision or something that we're actually all working towards. So that's the first one. I think not allowing it to become a soapbox, not allowing it to become anything else but a positive evening is very, very important. And the last thing, as I said, just being respectful of people's times and energies and sharing the load.
Being the chair is making sure about everyone expressing their views and having a voice to be heard, and keeping the meeting to an agenda and a time frame, and just everyone enjoys the experience.
I enjoy leading the meetings and setting the agenda and influencing outcomes. We respect people's volunteer time with our meetings, and we make sure that they stick to only 2 hours. We also start our meetings at 4 o'clock, so it's not a night meeting. So in the afternoons, you're not going home and then coming back out. It starts at 4 o'clock and we're all finished by 6 o'clock. It's all catered for as well, so we have a little bite to eat and the odd glass of wine.